So, hey.
Are we starting? Yeah, okay.
Hello.
We've been sitting here talking for like 2 hours. So I got here actually like an hour. I got here at 6:30 and it's 7:30 now. But we were checking out Kate Atherley's new book, which we're going to review in a little bit.
Yep.
And doing crazy measurements, which you will see in a little bit as well.
Yeah, we'll tack that onto the end just for funsies.
So hey, this is episode 365 of The Knit Girls. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It is Wednesday,
the 20th.
The 20th of September, 2017. I would apologize for us recording late, but I went and looked through the What Bugs You About podcasts thread.
Yeah.
And it's like, we hate it when you say, sorry for being late. We don't sit and wait on bated breath for your new episodes. So that's probably a good point.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, we usually record earlier in the week, but Laura's been busy with school, and I've been busy with work.
I am doing book for volleyball this year, so I've been doing that, which I do every year. And then I always promise my kids I'm going to go see their football games, and I typically get to one a school year. And so it just happened that the 8th grade and the 7th grade have been this past week. And then I went to a high school game as well. So you got tackle hugged by former students, which was fun.
That's cool.
It was cool. Anyway, we are knitting some things. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Why don't you go first?
Okay. So I just started at a football game last night working on my Desert Vista Dye Work socks for the month, which is terrible because today is the 20th.
They have to be done by the 30th.
30th. Like, this is not a long month. So I am going to try to get, I think, 2 repeats of the color pattern a night. If I get that done, then I will be okay. But I am, next Tuesday, I will not be at work. I will be at a conference in Batesville, Mississippi. Batesville.
Been there.
Yeah. Driven through. So it's a librarian's convention, so I'm thinking they're going over the new science standards. So I'm thinking I'm going to have some knitting time. So these are the Witches. It's a colorway from Desert Vista Dye Work socks. I am going to do an Afterthought heel sock pattern. My own Afterthought heel sock pattern. And one of the Harry Potter House Cup prompts for this month is follow a pattern exactly. Check.
You wrote the pattern.
Ridiculous. So this is The Witches. If you have not read The Witches by Roald Dahl, it's an awesome book. Also, you should see the movie because it's creepy as all get out. I made Leslie watch it before.
And she also made me watch The Wiz.
No, it was not The Wiz. It was Return to Oz, where they switch out the heads.
And they roller skate on their hands.
They do, the Wheelers. So last night I was researching the best 50 Halloween movies for kids. In my spare time.
Of course.
Halloween Town came up, and I've never seen that. It's a Disney movie of some kind. And I was like, I should get Michael to put that on Plex. And I was like, Michael already is not putting what I want.
I know, right? He's already behind.
So I think it's on YouTube. So best Halloween, because now I'm totally, the Halloween Craft All the Things is going on. Mm-hmm. This would count for that. I could totally sell it. Anything can count for it, really. You just have to market it.
This is abandoned carnival. Carnivals are in the fall.
In the fall.
Shut your face.
Abandoned ones might be. Like the Goosebumps movie has an abandoned carnival.
Abandoned carnivals are creepy. Yes. Halloween is creepy.
There you go.
Check.
So actually Goosebumps was listed. Casper the Friendly Ghost was listed. Like
I've never actually seen Goosebumps. It's got Jack Black.
Though. Yeah, it does. The Witches was listed. Return to Oz was listed, which is kind of weird, but whatever. It is kind of spooky on the level of Oz weirdness. The creepy Hall of Heads, y'all. If you've not seen Return to Oz, you totally should. What was not listed, like Charlie Brown Great Pumpkin, Hocus Pocus was listed, Nightmare Before Christmas, Addams Family, which is an awesome film as well. What was not listed was Mr. Boogedy, which we will have to watch sometime, because Mr. Boogedy was like a Disney film, like made for TV movie in the 80s. that was super creepy, and the dad owned a joke shop, and it's totally on YouTube. We'll have to find it. My sister rewatched it a couple years. It was like Beck's favorite movie growing up, and the guy had like, yeah, like his face was like hamburger meat. It scared the bejesus out of me as a small child, and I had no idea. Like Mama Lennon was pretty strict on what we could watch. Like Simpsons, never allowed to watch.
Roseanne.
We were never allowed to watch Dirty Dancing. I remember my aunt brought it over. She's 10 years older than me, to watch when we were babysitting, and my mom got like super mad at her because we were not allowed to watch it.
Mr. Boogedy.
Boogedy. Look, it's right there. Boogedy, boogedy, boo! It was Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, Mr. Boogedy.
1986.
See? I was 5 when that came out.
All right, I'll put a link on the show notes for people who are curious.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Knitting, believe it or not.
So I am knitting some socks. I'm using the Chagu interchangeables in size 0. I'm enjoying them quite a bit. I don't know that I would purchase them as interchangeables. I think I would just repurchase them as fixed. Does that make sense? Because the only time I've used them has been this size with
that cable.
So the rest of them are sitting there. But anyway, it would be nice if you went on trips and brought like sport weight and regular weight maybe, or something like that. And they did go down to like 000s, I think. So these are the witches. Awesome Roald Dahl book. And I need to get 2 color repeats tonight, and I'm about to start my second. But I started these last night, so really I should be on color repeat 4 tonight. But
and along the lines of expectations that Laura puts on herself.
Oh yeah, I have Even Star too.
Even Star is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's sort of this epic, huge circular shawl.
This is my Halloween bag from Amy Beth. Look, there's a ghost writing. There's an angry ghost. I don't know if you can you see? There he is. He's angry. Someone shrunk his sweater in the washer, and the other ghost is laughing at him. That's not very kind, other ghost.
I like that you've made up this whole narrative.
This is a very narrative-worthy bag. Look, these ghosts are taking their small child ghosts, and they're, like, swinging them up in the air. Anyway. My other bag is Luna Lovegood. And thank God for this bag, because there was an issue the other night. So I mowed my lawn, and before I mowed my lawn, I closed the room to the knitting. I closed the door to the knitting room, but I left my phone in there. So I came back in from mowing the lawn all sweaty, went and grabbed my phone out, left the door open, hopped in the shower, did not take my phone in the shower. Played that game before. No one wins. And so, because Leslie was texting me about something, that's why I needed my phone. That's my excuse.
Blame it on me.
You were driving back, and you had that weird. Leslie had her phone set on walking directions. They told her it would take her 6 days to get home.
Yeah. Well, actually, it told me 3 days and 20-something hours, and once I figured out it was walking directions, I was like, there's no way I'd make it 3 days. It's going to take me like 2 weeks.
Anyway. So Pearl and Humberto got into a fight because they do that. Pearl's like, let's play.
Not like actual fighting,
well, no.
But just.
Pearl's like, let's play, and Humberto's like, die. And then Pearl chases Humberto, and so Pearl comes walking in. I get out of my shower, and I see just this laying on the ground, and I was like, oh, that's not good.
I did not leave that there.
That was not there when I got in the shower. And there was this line of long purple thread down the hallway, not attached to this anymore. And it was like, I have a hallway that goes from my master bedroom.
Like almost the length of the house.
Like to the house. And like this was strung the whole way. Lost 0 stitches. Someone was looking, I had shoved it all the way down, so it was like way far down like this. And it had been pulled up to like here.
Yeah.
So now I typically leave the gel bee
stitch
stopper on it, and I just spliced back together the yarn because it's merino. So hopefully
it's fun. So.
Yeah, hopefully it'll hold.
I'm sure it will.
I tested it once and it came apart, and then I was like, I'm done testing. Go faster. So this is Even Star. It's on bigger needles, y'all.
Yeah.
That you can really tell.
And lace just kind of looks meh until it's blocked, but.
So this is 27% done. And I'm through chart 2. I have 3 more rows, and then I will start chart 3. But I haven't put in any lifelines now, and now I'm thinking I probably should before chart 3.
Yeah, or at the first row of chart 3 or something.
Mm-hmm. Probably. That seems like that would be a good plan in case anything happens again. So this is out of my hand spun, and it is totally like creating a striping effect.
I like
There's
it.
a bullseye thing. I'm glad you like it because I'm not certain I'm on board with it,
I
but
do.
there's a definite bullseye effect going on.
I think it looks kind of like concentric, like rings in a tree, you know, like.
Yeah, I can see that. And it is at 600 and some stitches. And this is the largest needle I'm putting it on. So this is it. This is a 47-inch signature needle. And I'm on like, so after you do your increase, it's a pie-shaped shawl. After you do your increase, you knit 5 straight rows. So I'm on row 4 of 5. And then you change where the marker placement is. So there are no markers on here right now because my markers would change with the increases.
And it's just plain knitting right now.
And it's just plain knitting. Also, I didn't have enough markers. I like using Jelby's lace markers.
I was going to say, that is a complete
Yeah,
fabrication.
that is a fabrication, and that I have lots of markers in my house. But when you're doing yarn overs over markers, the kind that I prefer, Jelby, who's one of our friends, Carrie, she makes lace markers, and I really like her markers because they're snag-free markers.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have to be especially careful with not only lace, but hand-spun lace, and because of the number of stitch markers on the needle,
Yeah.
I feel like that only makes it more likely.
I'm going to get up to, I think, 30 stitch markers on the needle. And I think I had 15. I ordered a pack of 10, so hopefully that'll be enough. If not, I'll be ordering another pack. It is what it is. And how is this for service? So I texted her because she's a friend. And I said, hey, do you mind mailing those out tomorrow? I bought them at like 10 o'clock at night. And she was on her way to a job thing and shipped them to me on her way because she's kind. So hopefully she shipped them yesterday.
You should probably get them today. 'Cause she's just in
tomorrow,
Tennessee.
yeah.
Or
I didn't get
yeah,
them today. I got gap dresses today, but I didn't get that. And an order from Simply Sock Company today. So anyway, you told me you bought me a present and you haven't shown it to me.
Oh, and I didn't bring it upstairs either. I'll show you after that.
Yes. Leslie bought me a present.
And Pearl.
And Pearl a present too. My father thinks that's the most ridiculous thing in the world, by the way. Pearl got a Steelers jersey because she's amazing.
Hopefully it fits her.
I'm sure it will.
We'll see. It's the same size as the one I got for Neelix, but Neelix has a super broad chest, like a really deep chest.
When I bought her Halloween costume, I bought her an extra large because that's what the tail to tip measurement was and the poundage, but she could have used a large.
I was going to say that I don't feel like the tail to tip measurement is super helpful. Because that's
especially when you have an alligator costume where it's super long anyways. There's excess tail measure like on it. Anyway.
Oh, the things we talk about on this show. So that's your knitting.
That is my 2 knittings.
I have
some
some knitting and some other.
Okay.
So first thing, the only thing I'm actually knitting on right now, because I haven't touched my striped sweater, so I wanted to talk briefly about my striped sweater. If this is your first time watching us, I'm sorry, this is just not going to make sense. But anyway, I'm knitting a striped sweater.
Raglan style.
And every 2 rows, the color changes. And I was having an issue with jogless color changes. And, man, I got to figure out who that was on YouTube that posted that comment. So I asked our viewers if anybody had any recommendations on jogless stripes or whatever. And somebody. Sorry.
It's like when I scroll on CNN and all the things come up. They're at the very bottom.
Let's see. Somebody left a comment that was so brilliant. I'll have to go back and find.
You're on the wrong episode there. Are you looking for last week's episode?
No. It might have been the week before. Oops, sorry.
You get to hear us multiple times.
Yeah, we hate hearing ourselves, so. Anyway, I'll go back and figure out who it was. But somebody left a comment on YouTube. I think it was YouTube. That was brilliant. So on her, she got this tip from another designer or teacher. But on her striped items, assuming that they're in the round, for sweaters, if you do one purl stitch at the beginning or the end of whatever row on either side under the arms, so just going straight down, one purl stitch on either side.
It creates like a faux seam.
It does create like a faux seam, and what she does is she goes back afterwards and does a mattress seam that closes them together, and it is a perfect color row. I mean, it is a little bit more work, but I don't mind doing that sort of thing.
I don't care that much, but yeah, good job.
I was like, man, it sucks that I'm already this far down because I'm totally not ripping back, but I will totally do that the next time.
You could drop a stitch all the way up and just put it back.
Yeah, but because it's so many different skeins of yarn, you know what I'm saying? It's like so many different colors. Anyway, I don't even have that project to show this week because it's downstairs, but I was really excited about that because it's so smart.
Leslie's having to go to work.
Yeah, because I'm training a new employee who is going to move to Las Vegas after.
Oh, they picked Las Vegas? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So he just went and visited Las Vegas and Atlantic City because he had to choose one of the two because they're no longer doing remote employees apparently.
Oh.
Other like.
If your grandfather did,
yeah. Really but okay, well I'm recording a show, baby.
Really scared. Shaking.
Hey, Neelix.
Just leave the door cracked so you can get out, please.
Neelix is scared. Come here, baby.
I think he's just excited. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's my dog.
And your son.
And once Laura starts talking again, I'll get up and let him out. So what I am knitting this week are socks. These are from Jinx Yarn Company in the Abandoned Carnival colorway. And
is it Yarn Company or Dye Works? I don't know.
It might just be Jinx.
Could be.
Jinx Yarns.
Okay.
And she does a lot of like cosplay and video game style stuff. So this is the strong sport weight. And
okay, I have to. So cosplay came up at work today because there's a new book called "Don't Cosplay with My Heart." I was laying down. And so I'm book talking it to the 6th graders because I'm book talking all the books that are coming in the book fair, like 10 books. And one of them goes, "Is that like furries?"
Oh God!
I'm like immediately, a 6th grader. I immediately changed the subject. I was like, so she needs to decide if she's going to be the superhero of her own story or the sidekick.
Okay, you keep talking. I've got to let the dog out.
Anyway, super awkward teacher moments.
Yeah, I'm coming.
So, furries being brought up by a 6th grader. Quick change of topic. Because furries and cosplay, not the same thing at all.
Yeah, and furries aren't necessarily a school-appropriate conversation.
No.
At least in Mississippi.
I don't know that, yeah. Not with 6th grade.
Not even going to go down that road.
Yeah, like, that's a rabbit hole that I'm trying to just dig myself back out of right now.
So I finished sock number 1, and this is Jinx Yarns in the Abandoned Carnival colorway. And I finished sock number 1 actually during my weaving class. I was Kitchenering the heel while John was talking about something, ply direction or something. And then I cast on for sock number 2, and from this little unicorn marker, I've got an inch, so I'm almost there, and then I'll start the heel on one side. And I'm just doing a flap heel, German strap heel is what it's called. And I'm just using the website, Heels by Number. Sorry, I can't get this thing to sit the way that I want it to sit, which is on my freaking shoulders. I need
You need your shelving.
my Nuvum that Shonita made me, but it's downstairs.
Oh.
Anyhow, so that's the knitting that I've been doing. Nothing super exciting. I'm using US size 3 needle. No, I'm sorry, a 2.5, which is 3 millimeters.
That would be nice.
For sport weight.
That would be nice.
The other
I can
thing.
go to ones with sport weight.
So exciting.
It was.
So this weekend I drove to Eureka Springs and took a card weaving class from John Malarkey, who is sort of contemporarily known for his woven shoelaces, but he also does lots of other classes.
And he's teaching to fly.
He is. He's teaching at Flyaway. So
have you decided what classes you want to get into?
I would like to take his shoelace class. There's one by Deb Robeson that sounds interesting, although Deb is much more cerebral about fiber than I am. Like, she's very thoughtful.
Are you thinking about the down braids one?
I don't remember. But I'd also like a class with Jillian, too,
yeah.
you know, so.
That's the one she's teaching on Fridays, down braids.
I don't know, Laura and I'll have to get together and, like, brainstorm.
I'm going to talk to my boss about taking that Thursday off, so we have more time.
That'd be fun.
But you have to, like, to take a day before a holiday, you have to have, like, 10 years in and so many
the president's
hours.
approval.
Well, I used to have all the sick time, but I used a lot on my knee this year.
Yeah.
So you have to have so many hours of sick time or leave time to be able to do it. So, I don't know. I'll talk to him.
That'd be cool if you could.
Yeah, and we could take classes on Thursday if we wanted. We could drive up Wednesday.
So in this class that I took with John Malarkey, the goal was to learn how to do this particular pattern called the ram's horn, and if there's only half of it, it's called the running dog. I couldn't figure out why. Neither could he, apparently, but we started out just learning how to turn the cards in card weaving, and this is the warp, and it goes on a very small loom. I can just like slip it off and slip it right back on and keep on going.
Like an ankle loom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got one I'm going to show in a second. And
that's cool. So the shoelace size. Did
yeah,
the fiber, yarn, whatever come with the class, or did you have to purchase it?
It came with the class, but you only use what's there. You don't get to take any of it home.
Yeah, so you have enough for like one shoelace.
Yeah.
But you could have two different shoelaces, one on each. That would be cool, though.
Yeah,
like
well, but this is just a play, because,
yeah.
I mean, it's imperfect. There's some...
Who cares?
So...
Friggin' shoelaces.
This was just a piece to play and to learn how to do your edges and make them nice and neat, and how turning the cards in certain sequences affect the finished product. So this was the first half of the class, and then it was a 6-hour class. If I'd realized that before I left, like if I'd actually read the class description, I might not have gone, because that's a lot. For me, it is really hard to sit still for that long in a class.
So the fact that you made it through the entire class is a huge, like, that is a statement that
because
it was
even
a really
at SSK, I almost never make it through 3-hour classes. Not because there's anything wrong with the teachers. I find it really hard to sit through and focus on something like that for that long. But John is...
You should have Deb Robeson classes all day. So maybe that's not
not for me.
Maybe you should do 2 3-hour classes.
You do Deb Robeson. I'll do something else.
Well, Judith has the applying class at the same time. That's why if you were going to do Deb, then I would do Judith. But she's also got... Judith has a spinning to weave class on Saturday that I think you might like. I don't know.
I don't know that I'm that invested in the weaving part yet.
Okay. So this is a person who has, like, a lot of looms.
It's an ankle
weaving.
Shut your face. So, the afternoon was devoted to picking our own colors and working on this established pattern. Everybody was working on the same one. So this is the little loom that he uses, and he sells it on his website, but he was also selling the ones that we were using. It was only like $60, so.
You got another loom?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good for you.
It's got some cool features on it. Like, it's got this, he calls it the third hand, but it's this little divot here that you can put your cards in while you're threading them. So you don't need 3 hands while you're threading them, which is
nice.
Super clever.
It's a cute little loom.
So this pattern, with the other one that I was showing you, the black and white, when you turn cards These are your cards here. When you turn cards, you would turn them all in the same direction. You would turn like 3 back, 3 forward, 3 back, 4 forward, 4 back, whatever. But it was always, they were all in the same direction. Well, with this pattern, the main point of the class was to learn how to do
You've got weights on there
different numbers, right? So with this particular pattern, you had 5 cards on one side and 5 or 6 cards on the other side, of 2 in the middle that went different directions than the ones on the sides. So you had to keep track of several different things happening at once.
I feel like I would need a check-off spreadsheet.
Yeah, and he has the patterns there. But this is what the pattern looks like. It's called Running Dog, and it's half of a ram's horn. So if there were 2 side by side, that would be a ram's horn.
That's cute.
And the key to
I like your color choice too.
Having some go in one direction constantly, because like the 2 in the middle would go forward constantly. Always they went forward. They never went backward. And the ones on the sides alternated. But the problem with going forward constantly is that you're building up tension and twist. Like you're constantly, it's like constantly twisting a string of yarn. It's eventually it's going to start curling up on itself.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with a loom because it's fixed work. But to get around that, you thread the 2 middle cards that have to go around and around, and you put weights on them.
And then you can untwist
Then
them.
you can let the twist out and just let it twirl and have the twist come out. So
that's very smart.
The way that he teaches, I think, is really approachable, and he taught things that I don't know that I really could have learned in a book. Like when you're threading a loom, you have to know what S and Z twist are, and you have to know that when you're threading.
For every loom?
Well, for the ankle loom.
Okay.
When you're card weaving.
Okay.
And you have to know that if you're putting the threads through, then the threads will show as, let's say, S ply, but the card will show as Z ply, and you have to be able to keep it the differences straight.
Huh.
Anyway, for those of you who don't care about card weaving, sorry I've gone on, but I think
it's really interesting.
It is really interesting, and in a small enough bite that it doesn't feel overwhelming.
I'll have to see if Mom would be interested in one of those looms, because she might take up card weaving again if she had something that was like
small and
portable for it.
But anyhow, so the class was with John Malarkey. Great teacher, really reasonably priced class. So if you have the opportunity to take a class from him and you're interested, I would say absolutely check it out. I look forward to having an opportunity to take another class from him. So that is the entirety of my crafting this week.
Okay.
But Laura's got some cool spinning.
I do have some spinning. So during the Steelers game, I decided to spin for House Cup Quidditch, because it was a spinning one this time.
House Cup is an online Ravelry sort of made-up competition.
I didn't talk about my swatch. We'll have to do that next week.
We can talk about it now.
Okay, we'll do. Yeah, because it kind of goes with
There's
spinning.
no law that says you can only talk about it in works in progress.
Well, we'll talk about my swatch too, and it has to do with spinning. So, because it's swatching stuff that I spun. So this is Unicorn Dance Party. Unicorn Dance Party.
By Hip Strings.
By Hip Strings. It's a skein that I ordered after SSK, because I didn't get enough stuff at SSK from her. I had to buy more. This is a Russian unicorn. It was $18 for 4 ounces. It's 60% superfine merino, 12% regular merino, 12.5 bamboo viscose, and that's what gives it the shine, along with 12.5 silk and Angelino. And you've been watching the show a while. You know that I'm not a super fan of spinning merino silk. It's not my favorite. But I think if I spin it thick, I'm okay with it. Because my problem with merino silk is I want to spin it like thinner than what I'm knitting with right now.
Like sewing thread.
Yes.
And that's really bad for your fingers long term, at least under the tension that Laura spins with.
Well, and also, like, it makes 4 ounces. Like, if I was on a desert island, it would be awesome because I could spin, like,
for the rest of your life.
4 ounces. But sometimes I don't want that. Sometimes I want super thick, bulky yarn, so that's what I spun. I've been spinning a lot of bulky with low yardage lately. So this is 139 yards of a 2-ply. Like, this was last week's bulky as well. So
which was like 70 something, right? makes me so happy.
75.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've been bulkying it up lately, which is fun. I need to do it more often so I can get more consistent with it because my consistency is a little bit suspect. But yeah, so this is Unicorn Dance Party. Lots of shimmer, lots of shine. It would have great drape. I'm not certain what I'm going to knit with it yet, but I'll do something fun.
It'd be a
For
good,
sure.
like, is Frozen still a thing?
Oh, yes. It is very Frozen-y-ish.
Yeah.
We'll see. So maybe something for Alice or Julia. We'll see. The other thing that I knit, and that I'm still kind of spinning on, although it hasn't gotten any love this week, are my Shetlands. I have a sweater's worth of Shetland. I have a fleece of Shetland to spin. And I have around 3 pounds, and so I had spun the first 10 ounces up, and I had a little bit left over on each of my bobbins, so I applied that. I guess that was spinning, and I decided that I wanted to knit a little swatch out of it, not to see gauge or anything like that, but more to play and see what was happening with my finished yarn. So this is on size 6, and you can see it's slanting. I've got more twist in it than it really needs to have, but that's okay. I'm actually taking out twist as I knit because I am an English thrower, and that takes out, which twist is it? Singles twist, not ply twist, I think.
At this point, I don't know. Don't care. I knit with things if they make me happy.
Yeah, so it's a little bit loose, and bias is affected by the looseness of your gauge, so if I went down, it would probably not bias as much. Also, you can kind of see through it, but it's got nice drape because you can see through it in half. So I am going to spin another, like, 10 ounces up, and the leftovers from that I'll swatch again on maybe size 5s. I'm trying to convince my sister that she should make swatch tags like she does.
I've been trying to convince her to do that forever. Like, remember we emailed her a giant list of stuff.
I know. So I need to get back on her. Now she's teaching.
I don't care what her real world responsibilities are.
She's working and teaching some kind of math, economics thing for art people. I don't know. Important stuff. So she's
things that pay her bills.
An adjunct professor now because she's got her master's. So she's very fancy.
She would be a cool teacher. I would enjoy having Beck as a teacher.
I think Catan one night to learn about economics. She would be a very cool teacher. So, especially at the college level where you're not really dealing with discipline. She called me about a discipline matter, and I was like, they're college. If they're not, like, because the kid wasn't doing his work, I was like, they're college. I wouldn't really worry about if they're not doing their work or not. It's like a donation to the university.
Yeah.
I mean,
if they ask for help, that's one thing. But...
Oh, yeah, if they're, like, wanting and needing help. But at the college level, if you're just not doing, then college is a choice. That's a terrible viewpoint, but whatever. Anyway, this is my
Speaking
swatch.
As someone who would have loved the opportunity to go to college, yeah, I would say that you shouldn't need to be babysat for things like doing the work assigned to you.
Yeah, especially her college is one that it's like arts and dance, and
it's a very niche.
Yes,
thing.
Yes, definitely. So I would think that I don't know. Higher education in the United States is its own dilemma. But those are the two things, spinning wise, that I have. That's what I've got for spinning. I'm probably going to spin some other things bulky this week. If I ever get through my socks and my even star. That's like my, so sometimes I use chocolate as reward for doing things. Like if I get my 1% done on even star, I get a piece of chocolate or a cupcake, whichever.
Technically, cupcake could be chocolate.
It could.
So...
or 4 cupcakes could be chocolate, whichever. But sometimes, like right now, I'm like, if I get through my 1% on my even star, then I get to spin for 15 minutes, and then I have to do my 2 repeats on my socks.
do you actually stick to those 15 minutes, or are you like 2 hours goes by and you're like, oh?
Oh, no, 2 hours goes by. Like, sometimes it's not spinning, sometimes it's reading, which was this afternoon, and then Leslie's like, oh, I'm stuck at work, I can't get back till 6:30, and then it was like 5:30, and I was like, hey Alexa, set a timer for 45 minutes, and I took a nap. So I really should be, when I said I was at 25% at even start, I will be at the end of this row.
Well, I think that's a fair enough assessment.
So I just have to get to the end of this row, which is why I'm working on this and not the sock, and then I'll work on the sock some. It's only that far, y'all. Look at my little owl stitch marker. It's only that far.
You can totally do that.
I can do that. So, spinning, that's what I'm doing. We have a book to review.
We do.
It's a cool book, too, y'all. This is one that I would highlight. It's definitely worth the price point because it is the Knit Mitts by Kate Atherley. It costs $24 US, $23.99 if we're being fancy.
Yeah, suggested retail price.
Interweave did send us this book to review, but it's I think it's well worth your cost. The first, 80 pages?
Yeah, I don't think we got to the patterns, the first basic pattern, until page like 76 or something.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of information on fits, and we're going to talk about that right now because we have things to do. So this is Knit Mitts.
Mm-hmm. And we've got little, here, let's perhaps make this just a teensy bit larger.
There you go.
Um,
We've got some, can we make the notes a little bit smaller maybe? Can we like pull them over?
see, I pulled it over so now they can't even see the
Oh, look
whole
at that!
I'm so fancy!
So fancy, you're so fancy.
Alright, I'm going to make this slightly smaller too so we can fit more
The font
on the
size,
page.
there you go.
So it is Knit Mitts, and like Laura said, it's by Kate Atherley.
It's a handy guide to knitting mittens and gloves. I love
And Kate Atherley, if you've never, if you don't own any of her books, she is a really brainy.
She's a tech editor.
Yeah, and she's a mathematician as well, and you can tell. Like, she loves her some numbers.
We've reviewed her sock book before, and that is also very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got a sock book that basically, this is like the mitten version of her sock book.
Exactly. And any question you could possibly have about mittens, I wager is
answered probably in this book.
Any reasonable question about knitting mittens. So we've gone through and gone ahead and tagged a few items to show you.
So this is the hand size. She surveyed over 500 different knitters and about hand size, and then came up with some overall general sizing requirements. So those are all the points of measurement.
Yep, and then
there are two charts. There's an adult size survey results and child size survey results.
And
Children
these are just
have chubby hands.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
These are just the results that she got from her survey. It is by no means comprehensive, but it's sort of an average, a mean of the general sizes for men, women, and children.
You with your math terms.
I'm telling you, that's I can talk math better than I can actually do math. So she does have some really cool tips and hints in here that we wanted to make a note of, although now they're so small I can't completely read them.
Why don't you change the font size back up? Like, our old people glasses need to come on at this point. So this is about cuffs.
Yes, and it talks about how if you adjust the number of stitches on the cuff because of a wrist measurement difference, how it should never be more than 2/3 the number of stitches for the whole hand. And that's just one tip. Like, we just flagged a few of the interesting items because, you know, it's a great book and totally worth the purchase, especially if mitts or gloves are something that you want to knit.
This is the special needs section. So if you are knitting mittens or mitts or gloves for someone who might be missing a thumb or have other special considerations, how to adjust for that, which I thought was amazing to include that.
Yeah, it is. It shows you that she's trying to think of everything. You know, it's not something that every designer would have addressed. So she gets kudos for that. Also, she talks about the types of fibers that you want when you're picking your yarn.
And knitting with silk hankies, which is very, very cool. And something there's not a ton of information about. The Yarn Harlots did some blog posts a while back, but there's not a lot of like book written information about it. So I was very impressed to see that.
Yeah, she talks about the different types of fibers that are best for it, but she also talks about, you know, some people have wool allergies and some people prefer acrylic, but acrylic isn't really the best for mittens because of the characteristics of how it handles heat. I also thought
wetness.
This was a really interesting bit here with the ply, because not everybody's a spinner, and I think spinners understand ply structure better than those who are just knitters. But it talks about the twist and the ply structure of different yarns and how that plays a part in the warmth of the finished product. So she does it in an approachable way without going into, you know, too much crazy math about it. And then she also talks about gauge for double stranding, which I thought was a cool bit of information, and how you can sort of estimate based on your swatch for a single strand what your gauge would be for a double strand. And of course it's not precise, you would have to swatch for that, but it is something interesting to know going forward, even if you don't necessarily use it on mitts. I could see it being very helpful. Then she talks about linings.
And different types of linings, including a sewn lining.
Yeah, you can knit a lining out of the same yarn, different yarn, more dense, less dense, or you can do it out of fabric, which I thought was a great sort of cheater way to do it.
She also does thrums in here as well.
Yeah, and we'll get to that a little later in the book, but
there's estimated yardage used for mittens and gloves, dependent on the gauge.
Which I think for a book like this, where there are established patterns, but there's also sort of a choose your own adventure, you know,
basic,
basic patterns that you can modify in what, you know, many suggested ways or whatever way that you want. So it's nice to be able to say, okay, I need around, you know, 100 yards or what have you.
I have this skein in the stash. Will this work for this?
Yeah, for sure. She talks about swatching, of course, but she does discuss swatching in the round and how to do it. I do like swatching in the round. My only hesitation is that in order to get an accurate swatch count, you do have to cut the back strands, so it's not something that you can use again without a bunch of splicing.
But if you have enough yarn, that's not a big deal.
If it's not a precious yarn, you know, then you can use those, you can pull it out later, or just use it in a blanket or something. She talks about a cool another one of those just sort of cool tips that stuck out to me was when you're picking up knit stitches, after you pick up the first one, you can put your working yarn and your tail yarn together.
Just kind of anchor it.
Yeah. For the next stitch that you pick up, and it like Laura said, it
and some people actually have you kind of weave in your ends through like the purl bumps, like that ends, and then take out the needle and use that strand, then like pick it up with that. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So they like anchor it before they start with that new yarn.
Yeah.
I don't know that I described that correctly, but that was like a Susan B. Anderson tip that I got from one of her classes. Picking up the underarms and sweaters.
It's always the little like nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah, you know, that you pick up in classes are sometimes more valuable than the topic that you're being taught. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or as valuable, I would say.
So there's also the basic pattern, and she just talks about, and I've seen this sort of diagram for socks before, but it's good. It's interesting to see it for a mitten as well. You know, so she very clearly tells you what part of the mitten is the thumb gusset and what part, you know, is the cuff or the thumb. So that, you know, for somebody that might be new to it, that's a really good tip. We also highlighted some pictures.
Baby!
The styling in this book, I think, is really good. Especially,
it's a lot of like white shirts and colored backgrounds, and the mittens are definitely in the forefront.
Right, and it's done in a way that isn't like interweave has been sort of hit or miss on styling in the past.
I would agree with that.
Sometimes they try and sort of go over the line of hip into I don't really understand what's happening here. But I think they did a fantastic job with styling on this one.
It's a lot of bright colored backgrounds with white, and then the
Mhm.
colors of the mittens are in the foreground usually.
Yeah.
Even, like, for example, on this, there's a lot of, you see the mitten on a colored background, but it's right, there's, like, a lot of these close-up shots where it's
Mhm.
just the mitten on the hand, or it's just the mitten laying flat or glove.
So you can see the texture really well. And I think even the poses and the attitudes of the models in the book are
very, very cute.
Yeah, and that definitely adds to the appeal of the book. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the patterns, but I think it helps sort of show the well-rounded concept of the whole book.
And it sells the lifestyle a little bit, I feel like. So there's another close-up shot,
and
for example.
She also addresses conductive thread, or conductive thread, I'm sorry, where you can knit in this thread of sort of metallic thread.
Yeah.
And you can, like, use your touchscreen devices with your...
It's hit or miss from what I've heard, but yeah. So there's all these add-ons, like doing a string between them, and then there's a harness.
I'm sorry, but we had to show this. This is a mitten harness, which apparently goes a step past just the I-cord that attaches the mittens to each other for kids.
It's got like two...
This has a harness, so it has a strap that goes across, too. And maybe this is a common thing in, like, really, really cold environments, and we're just naive. It could be. I don't know. This is the first time I've seen it, but I also found the placement of the mittens
very interesting
to be hilarious. And she even gives you a brief mitten harness pattern, should that be something that interests you.
Everyone needs a mitten harness.
We did discuss this a little bit earlier about the lining of the mitts. Doesn't necessarily have to be knit. You could cut it out of fleece and sew it together, and that's sort of a really quick, easy way to add lining to your mittens. And then we've got the visual index of the fancier patterns. So as we just went through a bunch of those photographed styled sections, in there were 5 or 6 basic patterns for your basic mitten, your basic fingerless mitts, thumbed mittens, gloves, and there was another one in there that I forgot.
I think a child's.
Yeah, a baby mitten.
So these are the patterns. There's 9 altogether.
Yes. And so
we're just gonna pull out some photos for you.
We've got Fair Isle cables, textured.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, you've got your mitts and your mittens and your gloves. You got the girl on the banana phone. Who is she calling?
No one knows.
We don't know.
On her banana
but
phone.
I would like to be on the other end of that call. Just saying. And then if we keep going, this we thought was a really interesting, like, it's a great way to show the detail of the glove in an interesting way.
Again, in the foreground.
Makes me wonder what the model's thinking. Like, it gets me interested and invested. So,
yep.
And then we've got the silly picture with our Fair Isle fingerless mitts. And
that model looks like she's having a great time. She's got, like, a Bluetooth thing around her neck, too.
Oh, yeah.
I just noticed that.
And we've got sort of the mitten hamsas there with
the sunflower mitts.
Yep, the Fair Isle, and she looks like she's having a good time as well. And the framing shot.
The gloves, the Fair Isle gloves.
Yes. So
I like how the Fair Isle just is in the palm of the hand.
I agree. I feel like that makes it approachable to someone who's just starting in stranding. So, and each pattern, I'll show you briefly, but each pattern talks about the different sizing and how you can use, adjust and use different cuff sizes to different hand sizes.
Helpful hints along the way.
Yeah, and the charts are nice and clear. So, Laura and I both give this book to.
I think if you're interested in knitting, too handy.
Too handy. Thumbs up. I agree. I think that, even if you're interested in designing, I think this would be a great book to take to sort of get you a good base knowledge
of the numbers that you need,
and the general construction and everything. So, That's Kate Atherley's.
I think it's definitely
Knit
worth
Knits.
it, $24, which you probably won't pay if you get it on Amazon or someplace else.
It comes out the 26th of October, so it's not out just yet, but you can pre-order it.
Yep. We're a little bit early for once, y'all.
I know, that never happens. So we just want to thank Interweave for sending this along, and Kate for writing such a cool book.
Yep.
I definitely want to do the Thumbed Mittens, so here's hoping. All right, so we're going to go back and talk a little bit about books that we've read or listened to. Why don't you go?
Okay. I read 2 books today, actually. I read Restart by Gordon Corman. Both of these are middle grade novels. Restart is about a boy who falls off the roof of his house. And he gets a concussion. He's in a coma for 4 days. And when he wakes up, he has total amnesia.
You always read the most chipper books.
No. This one's funny. So I would say this is a good one for, like, fans of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Gordon Corman in general. So he is dependent on what other people tell him his life was before, and he was a total jerk. Like, huge bully, football player, constantly making the wrong choices. Actually ended up causing a kid to go to another school because he put cherry bombs in the piano during his recital, and people thought it was a bomb scare, and was sentenced to community service and had, like, this gang of people that would pick on, like, we're the bullies of the school.
Right.
So he has a choice to go back to what people tell him he was before, or what he feels like he is now.
To reinvent himself.
To restart.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really interesting book, and I think as middle schoolers especially, there's a lot of self-discovery and thinking, oh, I wish I could redo that, or I wish I could be this person or that person. Book to go with this that would probably be really good, which is a little bit more mature, is Jack Gantos has a book about how the fire, it's something with fire, it's got a gas can on the cover and matches. Like his 8th grade year, and it's kind of based on his real life, he decided that he was going to be like his sociopath neighbor, that they would jump into the swimming pool, they would light diesel fuel on fire on top of it, and this kid would throw cherry bombs at them, and it was called, like, Submarine. Like,
it sounds like a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea, but he ends up in real life, before he was an author, he made the decision to be a drug mule and ended up in prison, and that's, like, the point where he can pinpoint, that was the summer where he chose. Yeah, so, like, those 2 books would be really good companion books. The other book that I read is Swing It Sunny. It's a companion to a graphic novel called Sunny Side Up. Jennifer L. Home writes really, really funny books. 14th Goldfish is also by her, not a graphic novel. She's best known probably for the Baby Mouse graphic novels. And the first one, Sunny Side Up, is about a girl, Sunny, in the 70s, and she's sent to live with her grandfather in Florida in his, like, retirement community where there's no one around. And really the stories are about growing up, but it's growing up in a family where her older brother has an addiction problem and is making all the wrong choices. And that's why she's been kind of, like, sent away so that the parents can deal with him over the summer, which is what you find out at the end of the book. The second one is about her going to middle school, and a brother-sister write this. It's Jennifer Holm and her brother Matthew, and it's about dealing with the fact that her older brother has been sent away to, like, a military-type school and is so angry at them, he doesn't want anything to do with the family. So her older brother that she's adored her entire life it's almost like he's died.
Yeah.
And dealing with that kind of situation, and how it's an honest book about how we deal with family members suffering from addiction in a graphic novel form. You smack me with your shawl.
Sorry.
So, it's got funny moments as well, for sure, but it has a lot of, like, 70s culture. Like, she buys her brother and sends him a pet rock for Christmas. Like, she saves her money for a long time to buy him a pet rock. So, and then she weaves on a little loom.
Aww.
The little, like,
potholder looms.
Potholder looms. Everyone gets pot holders for Christmas, but she weaves the pet rock a little blanket.
Aww.
Yeah.
We don't want the rock to get cold.
No, it would be terrible if the rock would get cold. He needs a blanket. So, those are the 2 middle grade. They're definitely middle grade books that I read. The Jack Gantos is more of a YA. It is a YA book. It's like The Trouble in Me, I think, is the title of that one. And then his one in prison, because he writes a memoir of his life in prison, is The Hole in My Life. So, anyway. I read about interesting topics all day long.
I haven't read a ton this week because I spent a lot of it driving. So I listened more than I read. I did listen to Tower of Dawn, which is the latest in the Throne of Glass series. It came out last month.
I'm hoping that's in the book fair. My book fair comes October 30th if you and Kobe want to come shop.
Yeah. He always needs more stuff. More books, anyway. It was an interesting story. I felt like the story could have progressed without this book, but I feel like the story is going to be a lot richer for it because it focuses on an alternate character and the development of that alternate character. Well, several alternate characters, and then they're going to regroup back with it's not Selena, the Queen of the Fae.
I only read the first book in that
Selena
series.
Sardothien, but well, that was her assassin's name. I can't remember what her Fae name is. Anyway, it was good. I don't know that it was as good as the others, but it was good. And then
she's keeping that franchise going.
She is. I mean, and it was
because that's like what, book 6?
5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah. That's long for YA series. Like most of them peter out around 6. There's some like Last Apprentice and Redwall that get, or Warrior Cats.
And I feel like what she did by focusing on another character and giving that main character time to sort of,
evolve.
Not only evolve, but like for a break in all the insanity of things that happen, so that the next time something insane happens, it's a little more believable.
The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner, that series has done that too, where they've gone to sidekick. Like the main character still plays like a minor role, like kind of a puppet master role, but it's his manipulation of other characters and their points of view.
Yeah. So, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I'll still buy the next one when it comes out. And then I listened to Helldivers, which is post-apocalyptic science fiction. And the general idea is that everybody killed each other with nuclear bombs and radiation, and the only survivors now are in 2 airships that not orbit, but they're in the air above the Earth, and occasionally they have to send down what they call divers to the Earth to get nuclear battery cells or something. And creatures have evolved and hijinks ensue.
Of course.
I didn't personally think it was as good as the reviews said that it was, which is a rare thing. Usually I agree pretty well with, at least with the Goodreads reviews, but I don't know, it didn't grab my interest, and there's others in the series, and I won't buy those, because I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, that's allowed. There's also been some shenanigans lately with people manipulating those systems.
That's probably true. Yeah.
There was a big shenanigan with someone manipulating the New York Times bestseller list recently.
Oh.
But, like, there's been things where people have been basically, like, buying Amazon and Goodreads reviews. I know the new Hillary Clinton book, regardless of your politics, this is not a politics show, Amazon ended up getting rid of all unverified reviews, so if you didn't purchase the book through Amazon, your review was not allowed on Amazon because they had so many
I feel like that's fair, though.
reviews. Oh yeah, like I agree.
Especially on a site like Amazon where their whole business is to sell this.
Yeah.
As opposed to Goodreads, where Goodreads, you can't buy the book on Goodreads, right? It's just
it's
a site.
Linked. Like they have you know how Ravelry has the affiliate links. Yeah, it's linked, but yeah.
They don't make any money off of, dissuading you or persuading you to buy the book. So, and then I am listening to Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I got it, as well as a couple of other books in a $4.95 Audible sale last week or the week before.
Oh,
and I've read the whole Daughter of Smoke and Bone series.
Yeah.
So now I'm listening to it, and I'm only a few hours into the first.
I thought I bought those for my library, but now I can't remember if I did.
Flying
I don't think
Taylor.
I did. No, I didn't. Because
Probably
they're a little
not.
bit old.
They are, yeah.
I didn't buy those. That's right.
Yeah, it does discuss male anatomy and sex in general, and
Yeah.
so anyway, that's what I'm listening to. I haven't really read anything good enough to talk about, so. And then last week we did talk a little bit about
favorite things,
upcoming events, but the computer decided it wasn't important and completely cut the sound off, so we cut that part out.
So we are still working on Stash Dash.
Getting through the threads.
So what we do is we get through every single thread and we put everyone who finished in a spreadsheet, and then we'll pull from there. So look for that income. I know it sucks that we are so slow, but I can't access it at work. It's Ravelry is blocked.
And I've been training an employee at work nonstop for 3 weeks, so I can't train him on how to go through Ravelry Stash Dash. So,
I think he would actually be helpful in that.
He probably would, but I wouldn't get a good report to my boss.
So, Leslie's training Michael's best friend, basically.
He's transferred into the department with me, and so I'm training him while he's here. And then he's moving to Las Vegas with his wife and 5 children. Well, at least 4 of them. The 5th is old enough that she might not be. So we'll see.
It's from a previous relationship. Anyway. So Leslie took a class with John Malarkey in Eureka Springs, which we've talked about. We plan on attending Fiber in the Borough, October 21st, and that is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's around a 4-hour drive for us. We try to do it like in one day, so we're only there for around an hour, which is ridiculous.
It's a long day, but at the same time, like, we've both got animals and
we don't go to, there's not a lot of local events. That's basically the closest local event for us, so we like to go and see people. So if you see us and you're there, please stop us and say hey.
Yeah.
I will be at the Magical Fiber Fantasy Retreat in Orlando, November 8th through the 12th. I'm teaching 4 classes. I'm teaching knitting with beads, attached lace edges, Afterthought heels, and then my Making the Best Yarn Choice class, which is my favorite. Don't tell the other classes. So that's my absolute favorite, and I will have tons of samples, and it's going to be lots of fun. The following week, I haven't even told you this, I'm going to be at NCTE. So I'm going to be at the National Council. I'm going to be in St. Louis at the National Council of English Teachers. If you're going to be there, let me know, and we will meet up. I met up with a lovely lady, knitting apron lady, at ILA a couple of years ago, which was super fun when it was in Boston. That was the last work event I went to, because they moved ILA to the same week as SSK, so I can't go anymore. And it was in Orlando this past year, and all my coworkers spent a day at Harry Potter Land together.
Oh.
And I didn't get to go. It was very sad. But I'm gonna go Sunday, and the Magical Fiber Retreat. My plane doesn't leave till 5, and Amy said I could stash my stuff in their room. So I'm gonna go and spend however, I'm gonna get there the second it opens and spend as much time as I can and drink butterbeer and maybe spend all the money that I make on robes.
Just don't buy wands.
No,
I don't see the appeal in wands.
Yeah,
robes maybe.
Robes maybe. We'll see. One of my coworkers is trying to convince my principal that she should be able to wear her Harry Potter robes for Richard.
That's awesome.
That would be amazing. So I will be there, and then we are trying to go to Flyaway. I think we're pretty much decided that we're going to Flyaway. It is March 30th. It actually starts on a Wednesday, so that's the 28th through April 1st or 2nd. It's the Saturday. No, through March 31st. So it's late March. And it's Easter Sunday weekend. So we will be there. We're going to try to make it to Maryland Sheep and Wool in 2018 as well. It's one of our favorite events. Besides that, the only thing we have going on right now is the Halloween Craft All the Things started on the 15th. That's a thread. There's 2 threads on our Ravelry group. That's a contest that we run. Just anything you can sell is Halloween.
It's just a silly excuse to share your stuff, really.
Yep. We enjoy fall immensely. It's my favorite time of the year, I think. I think it's Leslie's too. Besides my birthday month, it is my favorite time of the year. Halloween's my favorite holiday, so I enjoy it immensely. I wish we could get to SAF this year, but it's right around the magical fiber retreat time, and Pearl's already gonna be crazy.
I really like SAF, but it is a haul.
It is. For us, it's around 8 hours.
Yeah, it's a haul. And, you know, we have to be careful about the days that we take off, especially Laura with school, so...
Yeah, I only get 2 days a year, and I'm using them for the Disney retreat this year.
Yeah, so it makes it harder. But really, us not going to a fiber festival is probably for the good. Let's just be true and honest here.
Well, we'd like to hear, we are looking to add some more events to our schedule, if possible. So if you know an event that you've been to in the past that you really love, let us know, and we will try to make it there. Eventually, hopefully, we'll make it to everywhere. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be. One year we're just going to take off and just travel the
Just a
country
year
and sleep on
sabbatical.
SSK couches or TheKnitGirll's couches across the country.
Winnebago it across the country. That would be like our own version of road rules. That would be pretty cool.
That would, we could set up cameras. Michael could install them. I'd have to edit the Jesus out of it.
My parents are in Zion National Park taking gorgeous photographs this week. They were in the Grand Canyon last week. Speaking of people traveling randomly around the United States, but they're having fun. But yeah, I think that's about it for this week. I'm totally at 27%, y'all.
You are 27%.
27.
You just jumped from 25 to 27%.
No, I was at 25. 25 was back here.
Okay, I thought you said you were going to be at 25%.
No, I'm going to be at 27 when I finish.
And so Friday, what are you supposed to be at?
30.
Okay.
And I have 2 more rows will get me to 29%.
Okay.
So
that's very doable.
Actually, I'm at 28%. The 2 more rows will get me to 29 because I've done the 5 straight knitting rows. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 5. And then I have a move the markers row. And then I go back to lace. And the first lace row gets me, I think, at 29%.
Very doable. You can totally do that.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow I have no events, so I plan on, like, after-school events. So I plan on getting this to probably 30%, and then that means until Saturday I can just work on the socks. So I have a glow dance that I'm working Friday afternoon. Glow stick dance. And then, don't y'all miss being in middle school?
I never had a glow dance in middle school.
Not even a little. They're going to have fun, though. And then Friday night, I'm trying to convince this one to go to the Horn Lake High School football game with me because they're playing South Panola, who was for the longest of time ranked like #1 in the country in high school football. So
I've never been to the Horn Lake High School.
The new one? Oh, we should definitely go then. It is going to be a lot of people stopping me and saying hello.
Dude, that is everywhere.
I know, but it's like
everywhere.
It's a lot more there.
I have knitting.
Okay.
Are you trying to talk me out of it or into it?
No, I'm trying to talk you into it because, like, this last week I went and sat by myself and kind of felt like a loser because there were all these teachers I used to teach with that I don't teach with anymore that came up and said hey, and I was like, yeah, I'm sitting here by myself. How's it going? But
well, now everybody will know Miss Linneman has a weird knitter friend.
That's fine.
So
rumors will abound.
Well, you guys have a lovely week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
You got up on the shoes like it was nothing.
So Michael let Buffy in, and she was very excited to come see her. And goodbye. Jumped on the chairs.
They leave it open for babies because they're always sucking their thumbs.
I'm recording this.
Okay.
But so what I want to do is go to Ravelry and see if there are any patterns for babies that are gloves with full-on like 5 fingers.
Oh, snap! All right, so advanced search. Age and size.
Oh, you know what? We can actually make this better.
Can we? Can we make it pop up?
Add the window
capture. Nope, you can't make it better.
Totally can. Somehow.
Why don't you just do full screen capture?
Oh, can I do that?
How do I know that?
Well, you just...
Monitor capture, wouldn't that be it?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Alright, so we're going to make this smaller. We're going to make that smaller.
We're going to start this recording right now.
Yeah. No, I don't want you to update Skype, for the love of God.
Alright, so this is our experiment.
Yeah, also, this is my 711 messages.
Stop. We are going to see if there are any patterns on Ravelry for baby gloves, like full-on baby
With
gloves.
five
separate fingers, because we want to see the insanity.
So we're going to go
That would be like one stitch around.
Let's do baby or preemie.
No, baby or newborn.
Newborn, okay. And then we're going to go to any weight.
Yeah.
Let's do
Accessories, hands, gloves.
There are 3 patterns.
No, there are not. Go back up. No, that's
Those aren't gloves.
no, that one is universal glove pattern.
Yeah, but that's a
universal glove pattern. They just picked everything.
Yeah, there's no projects for it either.
That's a made-up pattern.
Baby love heart. Yeah, those are mittens, not gloves. Okay, so the world is not insane yet.
Although that bear paw baby mittens are pretty freaking adorable.
Yeah, they are. I want to see what all the accessories for hands are. Are there convertibles for babies? Cuffs, mittens, muff. Oh, is there a muff?
A baby muff and convertibles. Sorry
if I just yelled in your ear. Look, there's a baby muff!
That's crochet.
All of it, yeah.
Baby convertible fingerless mitts with rainbows. How could you not like that?
That's pretty cute.
I feel like that's bigger than baby size.
It's probably several sizes, yeah. They just included baby as a possible size.
For small kids. I feel like that's still not baby.
Okay, we're done wasting your time now.
Alright, so we are doing, or measuring. Leslie and I have different measurements of things.
Our hands are not the same.
They are not. And Kate Atherley, in her book, surveyed 500 different knitters. So we're going to compare our 2 measurements because we're those people.
I wonder if she's got like a median average in here. I bet she
I'm
does.
sure she does.
She's totally
she totally does.
Okay.
We're going to compare ourselves against the average because we're unaverage in every way.
So Laura's are all going to be dainty and lovely.
I don't think that's true.
And mine are not. All right.
So this is my wrist circumference.
6.5 inches. Not dainty at all. All right.
That's like my favorite part of my body. This part right here, and my eyes. My 6.5 wrist circumference.
Circumference of the palm above the thumb.
Okay.
So hold your hand like that.
Like that?
Not like extreme wide, but just like a normal wide.
Like a normal hand.
Sorry. Sure. 8.25.
See, it goes up.
Well, yeah, it's your palm. Wait till you get to my numbers. Thumb circumference.
I bet you it's an inch. Let's see.
2.75.
See, that's way bigger than I thought.
Length of hand from wrist to the tip of the longest finger.
So like there to there, I guess.
Seven and 3/4.
That tickled a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
Length from wrist to the crook of the thumb.
So like here?
To here?
Like where your gusset would start, I guess?
Yeah, like here, right to there.
Okay.
2.75. Length of thumb from crook to tip.
You gonna measure it to the tip of my thumb?
From crook. Oh, so it's just to there. Okay.
It's stubby.
About 2.5.
We're very precise.
I was thinking, should I be 2 3/8, or I think I'll just go to 2 1/2.
Very precise.
All right, now my measurement.
Oh, awesome. I can't measure for your stuff that you've got on your wrist.
So the first one is,
Wrist
or
circumference.
I could just take this one off and make it easier.
Okay.
Remember, Laura's was 6 1/2.
Yours is 7. It is. Look. 7.
Huh.
Why would I lie to you about your wrist circumference? I have much better things to lie about.
Circumference of the palm above the thumb.
So that was above the thumb. Oh, look at you. 8.
All right. That doesn't seem right, because yours was 8.25, and you have little hands. Well, you have thin hands. Oh, look, there's a new body issue for you. Are your hands too fat?
8 1/4 then.
Okay, well, that's about what you have. Thumb circumference. See what that bad boy is whipping in at.
3 inches.
Okay, that's what yours was, too. Length of...
We're comparing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this could be used for thumb wrestling. This could be a big deal.
Length of hand from wrist to the tip of the longest finger. This one will be shorter than Laura's, I guarantee you.
7 1/2.
The tip of the longest finger. Yeah, well, yours was only a 1/4 inch longer.
I have like fat stuff. Like
You
my
do not.
fingers are fat. Like, what size ring do you wear?
Well, it depends on the finger, but like this is a 10,
Yeah, mine's like a 9.
and this one is an 11.
Oh.
Length from
I might
wrist.
feel better about myself.
Length of thumb from. Wait, length. This is why we recorded this.
Length of hand from wrist to the top of the longest finger we already did.
Crook of thumb.
Crook of
From
thumb.
the wrist to the crook of the thumb.
3.
That's this. Is that what you did? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's an angle.
Okay, that's fine.
3.
And then length of thumb from. I thought you were doing it at like a. Length of thumb from crook to
Some
tip.
people are going to tell us how we're not doing this correctly, and I'm okay with it. Like 2 1/2.
Okay.
That is the hardest measurement.
We're actually pretty close.
I told you we were. You always like freak out and say my wrists are like
They are like
super dainty, but
Okay.
they're really not.
Maybe it's just because you have longer fingers, because like Laura can wrap her fingers around her
Yeah,
wrist.
like that.
Show
Well, no, it's from the tip of my middle finger to my thumb. Well, I can do that one too.
Look,
I can do the pinky too. The only one I can't do, it's this one. I'm almost there, but not quite. Like if my nails were longer, yeah, my nails touch.
I can't. I've got like an inch separating.
But look at how long my fingers are compared to yours.
Yeah, I know.
They're really not that much longer.
They're just skinnier.
That half inch makes a difference, you.
Apparently, size queen.
Wow.
Okay, now we're actually going to look at the book we have to read.
Bye.